No, I'm going to let the person that's with you do a better job than you because I know they always do.
Well, can I call you back in about 30, 40 minutes?
You're lucky to be on his show. All right, bro.
Well, jackass.
That's
Okay.
great.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to have another podcaster on the show. Just like a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. Let's see. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday interview. The Two Party Podcast talk show showcases guests in an unfiltered, organic way where it's unedited, well, mostly unedited, and gives you a chance for other people to come on his show to promote. And I was happen to be one of the people that got me. Okay. After
a little bit of pressure, no pressure.
After the 15th take, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it when we're off there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday interview. My guest today is the host of the Two Party Podcast. Now, this talk show showcases guests in an unfiltered and organic and mostly unedited show that gives them on stage. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday interview. I guess.
You got this.
Yeah. This is the last one. After this one, I'll just do it when you're off there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the You Can't Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Two Party Yeah.
We got to have a bloopers roll going.
Welcome to the Sunday interview. My guest today is the host of the Two Party Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the man, Dean Teller. Dean Teller, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've been interviewing guests all this morning. I want to thank you for having me on your show. It was awesome to have you on my show last week. I believe we're supposed to be putting the video up. And so that video of our live conversation, the episode audio, I don't think has been up yet, but I think we might have that video coming up.
Cool.
So, I had a good time having you on there. I'm glad you invited me to come on your show today. I know we were on there for 2 hours, almost 3 hours. I mean, we were talking.
Yeah. And it's so funny you brought that up because I have another young lady that I did her show. And just like, you know how it is in the podcast world, you'll end up doing like an interview. And the interview is like a pre-interview just to see if you can, the host and your guest can have something in common. And we was only supposed to talk for like 30 minutes. And we stayed on the phone. We stayed on the phone or Zoom call for like an hour and 30 minutes, close to 2 hours.
Before even recording.
Before we even started recording, and then got to the point she was like, we gotta say some stuff for the show. And her show is about sex and relationships and stuff like that. And she wanted to know like the marriage point of view of that. So she let me on the show, and we ended speaking for 4 hours.
Right.
And to this day, she's somebody that, I'll talk to, I'll get advice from, I'll BS with, and she's a very intelligent young lady. And you're like the second person like that is like, you're somebody, I got your phone number. I text you, I haven't yet, but one day I am going to call you for some advice. And we end up talking like for a very long time. And your show is like 30, 40, 50, maybe an hour long. And for us to go over, like, actually it was like 2 hours and 30 minutes.
That's what I was going to say, about 2.5 hours.
Yeah. it's so funny because in this world of podcasting and YouTube, it's like a smart community, and it's so funny how you can meet people and just have built that rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're one of those people that I feel like I can't wait to talk to you.
I feel the same. The part of the show that was great when we were talking is like you're into sports, and for me, I like boxing. I like fight sports. I like, those are the things I've always been into sports wise. I've never really kept up. I couldn't tell you every team and every player and what's going on each season, but you're a sports guy, and I think that you bring out a dynamic that I don't have. And for me, I love communication and talking to people. I love talking to people in the United States. I like talking to people on the other side of the world, if I can understand them. It just depends on if I can even, have a good conversation. But for me, it's about learning who people are. Part of the reason I started this platform was not just to grow in communication and marketing, but to grow on my journey, for me being a better person, being able to reach others, being able to use this platform to help others. It's kind of a journey I've been on for like the past 6 years, and I've really kind of narrowed it down to the best way for me to be able to help other people right now, in the middle of this pandemic and all the craziness of last year, is to literally be able to use this platform to reach people around the world and to give advice and to tell them, put them in contact and give them content where they're hearing from professionals like you. They're hearing from professionals that are entrepreneurs in their fields, that teach, give courses. I just got off the air with one of the producers and directors of a new series coming out in April, and one of his actresses. And it's one of those things like, while that's great, those are the things like me and you as podcast hosts. That's awesome. It's like, I want to talk to celebrities. I want to talk to this person, that person. For me, it is that, and it's all that. But at the end of the day, what it really is for me is an opportunity to have a good, intentional, and genuine conversation with somebody I've never met, and to be able to bring out the best in them, and at the same time be able to bring out a little bit of my story, and who I am. And that helps me on my daily journey.
Hey, and you can tell right off the bat, you're somebody that it's not just me. Like, you can just talk to you and you can tell that you're like one of those people. If I met at a bar and I'm having a couple of drinks, I'm going to be, I'm just going to go straight to you and want to talk to you. You seem like that type of guy that has that personality. Now, is it just me, or is that something that you always dealt with growing up, or as an adult, that people just so fond to talk to you?
I'll be honest. I think this is my personal opinion of me. I could not speak for others, but I can tell you, I've always, a lot of my exes have always told me, man, you were always popular. That's what attracted me to you. And I never felt I was popular. Growing up, I always felt like I was just an ordinary weirdo kid, doing what weirdo kids do. I got in a lot of trouble growing up. But I remember there was a point in my life when I drank a lot. When I was younger, I drank a lot. And there was about a year period of time where not one person I knew, none of my friends would come near me, because I became such a raging alcoholic nutbag. I remember one time my buddy, we call him The Rock. His name's Dave Zarita, good friend of mine down in Florida. We call him The Rock for a reason, because he looks just like Dwayne Johnson. And he's a beast. He's a big, huge Dominican, Panamanian and Dominican, big dude. And I remember I got so wasted one time. I went over to his house. He was having a keg party, and I went over to his house and I literally stole the keg from the middle of his party and took it home and just drank it by myself. Just being an asshole, I just being a jerk. And so there was a point in time where, like, no, I wasn't a very nice guy. I was doing really stupid, shady things. And I'm glad I outgrew those things. My wife is really glad I outgrew a lot of that stuff. But I think nowadays, partially the journey I'm on in life, which like I just said, the journey I'm on right now is really how I can impact others, how I can help other people, what I can do in my life, not just by, I want to help me. I want to look in the mirror and change the character defects that I see in myself that suck. There's everybody has something in them that they don't like. It can be called, you could call it self-confidence, a complex. You can call it, low self-esteem, whatever you want to call it, but a lot of people, especially us men, we're told to be masculine. We're told to be tough. We can't look in the mirror. We're not allowed to look in the mirror and see things about ourselves we don't like. I started doing that. I started taking that journey about 6-7 years ago. I said, I don't like what I see. I'm not a good father. I'm not the best father I could be. I'm not the best friend I could be. I'm not the best husband. And I really started evaluating my thought processes. I started evaluating, how I think, the stinking thinking, I quit back then. I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I started eating healthier. Slowly started working out again, which up until about 3 years ago, I didn't really get really into it. And lately I'm into it the past 3 years. But no, I don't think, honestly, Joseph, I don't think that I was always an easy person to talk to. And I think I could probably put you in touch with a few people that own bars down in Florida that are friends of mine that own businesses that will tell you that at one point I wasn't allowed in their bars. I wasn't the guy somebody at a bar wanted to come talk to. I was the guy that would usually get in fights. I was a guy who had a lot to say, and I still do. My wife laughs at me all the time. She's like, you never shut up. We'll go in a grocery store and I'll walk down an aisle and just start talking to someone. She's like, maybe they want to be left alone. And I'm like, no, they don't. They don't. That's just who I am. And unfortunately, I think it's become like, I enjoy people. I mean, at the end of the day, I enjoy communication with people and genuine conversation. And I think that's why I'm kind of wired the way I am now.
Hey, I think that's why me and you got so much in common, because I'm the exact same way. The difference is you're a asshole.
I was, and kind of still am. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to change it. I'm just an asshole. And and it's funny because if you look at my sister Tracy, I don't talk about her a lot because she doesn't want to be talked about. But Tracy is the type of person who can come in a room, look at your wife, call her a whore, and everybody just bust out laughing. Mm-hmm. Oh, Tracy, you're funny. But then I'll do the same. And I'm like looking at Tracy like, Tracy, yeah, that's funny. Hey, your wife's a whore. And everybody's looking at me like, what'd you say? But Tracy, and that's the type, but Tracy doesn't like people.
Right.
And that's the kicker. The funniest thing to me is like when Tracy's interacting with people, I love people. Mm-hmm. I love to interact with people. It's nothing for me to start a conversation with anybody. And when I walk down like at the mall or walking in the grocery store, it's nothing for me to walk past you and say, how you doing, ma'am? How you doing, sir? That's just me. Mm-hmm. And however, some people will agree and some people will disagree. Some people think I'm just very charismatic. And then there are some people think I'm just a asshole. Mm-hmm. So
my wife thinks the latter of me. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife doesn't think the latter. My wife, she's more towards the part. Hey, you're such an asshole. Like, well, what does it make you? You married me. Mm-hmm. It's like,
my wife's very introvert, and I'm very introvert and extrovert. So I'm a little bit of both. Like, I want to be left alone, but if I see someone, I gotta talk to them, especially if it's someone I don't know. I want to know their story. I think that's part of what's weird about me is that I'm intrigued by other people, like their story. What I see someone in the store, and some people would look at them and be like, "What is this bag lady doing in the store?" And I look at the bag lady, and I'm like, "I want to know how she became a bag lady." I want to know. I want to know what made her who she is now.
And that's me. That's me so much. Like the guy that I let you listen to the phone call. We'll grow up and we'll go somewhere, and he's like, and I start talking to somebody, and he was like, "Man, you're such a creep. You just start talking to anybody." And I'm like, how do you start talking and building relationships with people if you don't talk to them?
Correct.
And to me, it's not like I'm going out there trying to make friends.
That's it.
I get bored and I want to talk to people. But then again, I'm like you. I want to be left alone sometimes. Mm-hmm. I don't want, being in a house with, so many people in this house, and it's a big house. Don't get me wrong. Right. It's not a small house. Everybody has their own private space. It's just then when everybody's in the same room together, I don't want to be in my private space. Like, Lee.
My wife, our house is pretty big too, and my wife's always looking for ways to hide from me and get away from me.
Damn it! Every time I'm trying to hide from everybody, all you hear is, "Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? Daddy, Daddy? Is he?" He's doing his stupid YouTube again. Daddy, no, he's not in here. Where is he? Because
I start changing rooms like every show.
Yeah, I'm like Spider Pig. I'm on the ceiling. I'm just like, give me some time alone. Like, this is an embarrassing story. I'm probably going to edit. But I did a vasectomy because I don't want no more kids, and my wife won't get her tubes tied. And I don't see why I should get the vasectomy because one, I don't get pregnant. So why should I be the one getting fixed? But anyway,
that's what us men are supposed to do. Got to do whatever it takes for the wife.
And you know, it's so funny because people talk about, oh, it doesn't hurt. Oh, no. It doesn't hurt. You barely feel it.
That's what my cousin said the same thing, and then he didn't sit for a week.
Oh my God, that it hurts so, because people don't realize how like your testicles are so sensitive.
Oh yeah, the wind blows the wrong way, and you're in your boxers, man. It puts you down.
Yeah, and they don't. So when the guy was down there, you know, it was a woman, it was a nurse and a doctor, and they're doing their thing. I had this hat on, and I was like. Because it does hurt, and no matter how much, I don't think they put that much I don't think they put that much whatever Novocaine or
like, hey guys, you forgot the anesthesia.
Yeah, I had it. You know, I suffer from anxiety, and I'm telling you, I was telling them like I wasn't nervous at first, but then when I said I need to take something from my anxiety. Like, because I start feeling my blood pressure going up, and I start feeling that feeling of like tingling in my head. And I was like, okay, either I'm about to have a stroke or I'm about to have a panic attack. I don't know which one, but I need to take something. So I took something, and it was the worst experience of my life. Now, here's the thing, though. Anybody who's having a vasectomy, they can tell you. You can't just, it doesn't work overnight.
No,
it's one of those things where you have to like just be adults. You have to kind of like go aside and, you know, be 15 again. And, you know, but when you live in a house of freaking a lot of people, you know,
there ain't no privacy going on.
There's no privacy. So it's not like I just go to the bathroom and just make things happen. Like, no, it's not happening. So the doctor, you know, I did it in May, June, and they're like, we're still finding sperm. And I'm like, so what do you want me to do? Well, you need to relieve yourself more often.
Feel like either that or my guys are real fighters down there. That's all.
No, my guys are real fighters. Look,
that's it.
Hey, these guys, I ain't gonna lie to you. It used to be a joke.
I got an army down there.
Like, no, no. These are not normal sperms. These guys, they came to war. That's the reason why we have 3 kids together. And you know, Jonah, I love my youngest son to death. He was born in March of 2020, and I love him to death. What, 8-9 more years? And we were going to be free.
Yeah.
And
that prison sentence got extended, didn't it?
Yes. It's like I got in a fight in the courtyard. And,
right. I was in solitary and went off to the officer.
And it's funny because, you know, we're going to be I'm going to be, when he turns kindergarten, I'm going to be in my 40s. And Kim, she's going to be close to 50. Not real close, but, you know, she's going to be. So, you know, when we're going to kindergarten class and dropping off for the first day of school, we're going to be like the grandparents dropping their kids off of school while these 20, 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds dropping their kids off. Yeah. And they're like, oh, look, the grandparents came.
That's a good set of grandparents.
Yeah. And we have a granddaughter together. So it's one of those things like, God, how did we do this?
My son is 12. My son's 12, and we tell him all the time. People think, like, they look at me and my wife like we're crazy, but we'll say it right in public. We don't care. We're like, what is it? What's the countdown now? We're at 6 years. So I'm like, every time we're like, Devin, 6 years, you're out of the house. And everybody kind of looks at us, and I'm like, dude, when he's 18, we've already had this talk. When that kid's 18, He's got to have a job, apartment, and a car, and he's out of my house. And like people like look at us like, man, you guys are horrible parents. And you know, we'll say it right to him. He'll do something, screw around or something, and somebody will catch him, and we'll be right there, and we'll be like, Devin, 6 more years, man, we're counting. And they kind of look at us like, damn, that's some shitty parents. But damn, we want to be adults and enjoy our life, you know.
Well, and see, and that's the thing, you know. Right now, we have a 24-year-old. My wife's son is 23, going to be 24. She started early.
Yep.
And for him to still be in this house is, for me, it's like, what the? Yeah. Lord knows if I had a stepdad, I probably wouldn't get along with him either.
I never got along with any of my stepdads. Never did.
He doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand, nor is more my wife's fault, because my wife doesn't tell him like how wrong he is. She'll automatically take his side no matter what. And that's the decision as being into this marriage that you have to decide on. Like you have to decide, do you accept this part of the marriage where your wife is always going to take his side, or do you want to move on? And that's a decision as a man you have to make.
You got to choose those
battles. I made my decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even choose. There's no battles that I can win.
Yeah.
So this Christmas they went to Helen, Georgia for a vacation, and I didn't go because I don't have ways to do cases. I do cases here and there when my wife doesn't go to work, and I'll go, you know, cases nearby. I won't go travel Mississippi, Florida, you know, nothing like that. No more. I don't do that no more. I'll do local cases. Yeah. Maybe if it's an hour away, but I'm coming home. You know what I mean? I'm not staying in a hotel. So she asked me, did I want to ask Jordan can I use his car? I said no, because I know what the answer is going to be. He's going to say no. And I don't want no arguments. I don't need no pay.
Right.
It's like, whatever, you know, I don't got time for that, because in his mind, his stuff is important. To me, his stuff needs to be out the house. So
it needs to be important in his own house.
Yeah. So I told him, no, we'll just rent a car. And there's a sad story to that too, because the rent a car people freaking lie to you. But so unbeknownst to me, my wife asked him, can I use his car? And of course he told my wife, no. I didn't know this. So we get up in the next morning, and I'm packing all the stuff up. I'm helping getting stuff out, the babies and, you know, my kids getting their stuff and putting in the car so I can go to sleep, because I got to work the night shift. Okay, so all of a sudden I see my in-laws showing up. I'm like, what are they doing here? And I go downstairs, and Kim's talking. I'm so mad. I said, what are you mad about? My mom's here to pick up Jordan's car. Picked up Jordan's car, so I went and drive it. I'm sitting there like, really? Like, yeah. And so I'm sitting there like, that is the most pettiest shit. It's already been determined. I got my rental car already established. Like, it's like here.
It's a done deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a done deal. Like,
but in case you change your mind, that car is not going to be available.
So they went out there and picked his car up. So I mean, that's the petty you got to do as a step parent.
I see these parents that are like, I wish they wouldn't grow up so fast, and I'm like, what? I don't even understand that statement. Yeah. Like, really?
Please hurry up and grow. Like, I can't imagine being in my house, like living with my mom or my dad at 24. I cannot imagine. Like, for me, I was lucky enough, you know, I talk a lot of mean stuff about my dad. The fact is, my dad, if I need something, I can call my dad and it's mine. You know, it's mine. That doesn't mean I need to go out there and abuse that power.
Yeah.
I
left home at 15. I was surfing on my friends' couches at 15. And that was by choice.
I was 20.
That was by choice. You know, I'd come home. I couldn't get along with the boyfriends that my mom would meet up with or dating. One of them I knocked right out. I knocked him clean out. I woke up one day, I was getting ready for school. I turned on my stereo. I was bassing the stereo. That was back when bass was a real cool thing. I had this real loud home stereo, and I woke up. It was like 7 a.m. I'm getting ready for school, and I cranked the music up, listening to some kind of bass music. And he kicks the door in, charges in there, starts screaming at me. And I literally just reached back and nailed the dude right in his face. And he was like, this guy was like a really skinny, scrawny, 6-foot dude. And he hit the floor. He'd never been in a fight in his life. He told me many a time, we'd talk, and I've never been in a fight in my life, And he comes in my room causing a ruckus, and I just knocked him clean out. My mom comes in. She's freaking out because he's on the floor bleeding with a broken nose. And I'm sitting there with the music still going, laughing about it and ready for school. And I just, it came a point where it was like, I recognized that my mom worked hard after my mom and dad divorced. She worked hard as she took on a job. She went back to school. She raised me and my sister as a single mom. She didn't put men in the relationship anymore. She literally put me and my sister first. And she did that for many, many, many years. And then once my sister got married and was out of the house, it was me in the house. And of course, me being a boy, I can't get pregnant. So my mom wasn't as strict with me. I was able to do things my sister didn't get away with. And so I was fortunate that my mom gave me a little bit of reign, but at the same time, it was kind of a bad thing. But then she decided at that point, like it was safe for her to start dating. Now I've raised my kids. I'm not bringing some strange man in the house. So she took it upon herself to start dating. Well, the first guy she started dating, I hated. The second guy was the guy that I was just talking about. He was just a prick, and I just knocked him out. And then there was, we moved forward, and it was, she kept trying to have these relationships, but it was always failures. But I left, at that time. I was like 15, and I told her, I was like, I don't want to live here with these idiots. I don't want some dude trying to tell me what to do, and he's known you for like 6 months. He doesn't have anything to do with me. There's no reason for him to be telling me anything. If you want to date him, he's dating you, not me. And so I'd bounce back and forth between friends' houses. I'd go to my grandmother's house every once in a while. My grandma always had an open door policy. Any of us kids or grandkids, I love my grandma to death. I wish she was still here, but she's not. But there was always open door policy with her. It was always, if things get hard, you come here. You need a meal, you just want to come eat, come here. And so I'd bounce back and forth because she'd always be there for me. And one of my grandfather's wishes when he died was for me to look after her. So I always checked in with her to make sure she had what she needed. And so that was kind of how it was. Now my dad at the same time, my dad was still alive during all this. My dad, I think we touched a little bit on it, but my dad was no man to mess with.
Don't worry. Don't bring up the dad just yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like
we got more to come.
Yeah, he'd hear stories about, he'd go pick me up for the weekend or something, but he'd hear the stories about, me getting in a fight with mom's boyfriend. He'd say, well, your mom told me you knocked him out, son. I'm supposed to have this talk with you that you're not supposed to do that. And, but at the same time, if you have any problems with him, you let me know and I'll go have a talk with him. And I'm like, it's cool, Dad. I don't need the guy to disappear or nothing. We're cool. So
yeah, just to let everybody know, his dad, I always consider my dad a very tough guy. And my dad's 71 years old. He'll be 72 this year. And I hear a lot of fathers talk about, how tough their dads are. I'm gonna get my daddy. Nobody even growing up wanted me to get my daddy. I don't think there's anybody that knows my father will take my father for bitch.
Yeah,
by no means. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. He was not scared of anybody. He was not scared of anyone. And to this day, I have to remind him that he's not 30. He's not, you're an old man. You
can't be jumping across the table with people no more.
Yeah, he's even more dangerous now at 71, 72, because in his mind, I lived my life.
Right.
So what is it for me to just go ahead and shoot you? Keep me.
Got these senior citizen laws. Go ahead and swing on me.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hit me. I dare you. Pause. I just asked you for $5.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yes. So with that said, we got something coming up. He has a very interesting family that we're going to talk about, but I want to hit on the Two-Party Podcast a little bit. Like I said, just like Angie from the Too Old for This podcast, I've built a little bit of relationship with you, and so just like her, it's so easy to build a relationship with you. I know you say you used to be but man, you today, you're somebody I look forward to conversations with. My question is now, is that something that is taught, or is it something that's just your personality?
To be honest, I think partially it's my personality. I think it's a two-way street, really. I think part of it is my personality. And I think the where the two-way street comes in is it's a lot of who I am today is formed by what obviously, like everyone, my experiences. I've been through hell. I have literally been through addiction, alcoholism. I've been in prison. I've been through jail. I've had DUIs. Those were the worst of it. I've never had any major violent crimes that I've ever been caught for, but I've knocked some heads. I boxed for many years. I was not a very nice kid growing up. I dealt with a lot of bad things, but I've also witnessed a lot of trauma and a lot of bad, really, 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 really horrific things. And we'll touch on a little bit of that, like we talked about. But I think part of what makes me who I am today is the experiences I had early in life. Some of the things I witnessed, some of the things I've seen. A lot of people would get, I guess you could say, cold or numbed to a lot of things due to what I went through. I was fortunate enough, my mom took time at a very young age to get me into counseling. I was very fortunate that I followed through as I got older and stayed in counseling. There was a lot of times where I made decisions where I knew straight up it wasn't the right thing to do, but it had to be done because of the way I thought. And it wasn't until, like I said, until I really started looking in the mirror and reflecting on who I am that I was able to change that and really start saying, that's not the person I want to be. Like, that's not who I want to be to Joseph. That's not who I want to be to my son. That's not who I want to be to my wife. That's not who I want to be to my friends. And at that, I found myself at one point in my life, like I said, not just earlier, but later in life, where I didn't have any friends. There wasn't a phone I could pick up. I had a Rolodex of business partners and a Rolodex of friends, but I couldn't hit one of them numbers and get a return call or even get one of them to answer. I mean, I got to that point. And that's when I really started to realize, like, I'm not somebody I would want to be with. I'm not somebody I'd want to deal with. And I think that's part of what got me, kind of has built me into who I am. And maybe it is partially my personality. Maybe it's partially, I am a funny guy. I love comedy. I love humor. I love music. These are all dynamic little things that build my character. But at the end of the day, I think part of the reason I really like talking to people is because I think there was a lot of times in my life where I was alone. There was a lot of times that were very dark and very quiet to me. Even though I was stuck in my own head dealing with very traumatic situations and thoughts, there was moments in my life that I felt so alone that I had to realize and start recognizing who I am, why I do what I do, what I'm doing with the things I'm doing in life. And I think that's part of what probably made me the charismatic behavior I am, the intuitive, the ability to question. I question everything. I still do to this day. You can show me something, I have to question it. Even if I'm looking at the facts, I have to question the facts before I can believe the facts. And it's just who I am. But I feel like I don't want to talk to, it's kind of almost like these guys that call you with the, I've got an extended car warranty for you. And they call you. It's like, it's almost like I don't want to be talking to one of those guys if I'm across the table from me. And so I think I've slowly started to develop myself into the person I want to be. And the person I want to be is somebody that people want to talk to. And that's not easy to do, but I try to picture, like, if I'm sitting across the table from you right now, not just here virtually, but if me and you are hanging out today and we're sitting at a restaurant, sitting at a bar, watching a sports game, whatever, I want to be the person that you want to be hanging out with. And so I try to be aware of not just my surroundings, but my behavior. And I know a lot of us speak before we think. And I used to be that way. My mouth would get me in a hell of a lot of trouble sometimes. But nowadays I try to think a little bit more.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? I mean, when you're younger, especially, that mouth will get you. But it's one of those. I feel like I enjoy conversation now. And so I want to be a better person to converse.
But see, the difference, I think we have so many similarities. I think the only difference between you and me is you understand that there needs to be a filter. It's so hard for me to be filtered because, like for example, that story about my stepson. I know that story's gonna get me in trouble. I know once I post, I'm not.
Got to make sure she don't hear that episode.
No, I don't care. It happened. Yeah. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like something Jesse Ventura said one time. When did the truth become bad?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does anybody care about the truth? So
it doesn't seem
for
like
me. So yeah, especially in today's
not
world.
Anymore. Yeah, not anymore.
No. So for me, like I can go into a group of people and I can take over the room.
Yep.
Just like that. But then there's certain types of people that I get around and I couldn't make you smile. I can't make you laugh. And it has to be that certain type of person.
There has to be energy there and that connection.
Yeah. It has to be energy and it has to be that connection. And if it's not, that's the reason why I do not go to my in-laws family get together. I refuse to go to my family. And like I would go to my father-in-law's family because they are very nice people.
Right.
Like just getting on. And I told you I'll be like 5 minutes. My Aunt Linda's here. That's my father-in-law's sister and Uncle Ellis. They consider me family. They want me to come by their house. They want us, not just. I don't think I can just go knock on her door.
They're like, "Where's
hey, how you doing?" We're not that close. But those are the type of people that the whole family, like my father-in-law's family, is just this big welcoming pot of just love and Christianity, and you can tell they don't have a hateful bone in their bodies. But then you go to the other side of the family, my wife's mom's side of the family, and they're the most I just can't do it. I can't do it. Now, my wife's stepfather's family, his family is like off the chain nice too.
Right.
His sister and her husband, who's going through a difficult time, greatest people on the face of this earth, hands down. But something about my mother-in-law's family, I say, I pass. I can't.
Right.
They had the opportunity to build a relationship with me, and they failed miserably.
Right.
And
that first impressions are a big thing when it comes to in-laws.
The first impression sucked. Yep. I never wanted to hit somebody. She had my wife had this jolly green giant looking mother. And I mean, he's like, just picture the Bounty, the Bounty paper tower.
Yeah, the brawny guy.
Okay, yeah, the brawny guy. Him in real life, and he's like 6'6", and this cat. It was 2009. Their great grandmother turned 100, and I'm new. I'm not even in the family. I'm engaged, and she had this aunt and she wanted to be wanted to act strong. You try to play the tough guy. You're like, hey, you ever hurt these people? You ever hurt my niece, or you ever hurt these kids? I get it. I play it too, especially with daughters. Yeah. But then it's after a while, it's a certain time where it's like, okay, you gotta lay off.
You can let up now. Yeah. One of those things, like, and I've been through it. With one of my exes, her parents were. I mean, this girl was loaded. Okay, her parents were loaded. Just ridiculous money, and their way of solving solutions for her kids and stuff was money. Each kid. Let me put it this way: each kid had its own gaming system. So they'd go buy the one kid a PlayStation for them to have at the house, and the other kid had to have one too. And I'm like, why? There's one TV in the living room, but they each had their own everything. Every time they buy one kid something, the other kid had to get the same thing. And that was their way of being equal and fair. But it was like, dude, you guys have too much money. You guys shouldn't even have this money because you're just spending it stupidly. But her parents hated me. Her dad, he started to warm up to me, but her mom from day one hated me. She was always finding a reason to sabotage the relationship, always trying to find a reason to catch me doing something wrong. And we were together like 7 years, I mean, it wasn't like this was a 1 year, 2 year relationship, 6 months. We were together for a long time. I took care of her kids. I fought against her ex in court with her to try to, help her with the custody. Like, I ran him off from the house several times when he come over with a firearm and stuff like that. Like, I had been defending their family, but her mom it wasn't enough. I could never do right in her mom's eyes. And sometimes I just think that's just how it is. And the ending note of that relationship was I literally told her mom that she was a black heart, and that was the last time I ever saw that woman. That was it. Yeah, I was like, I can't take any more of this. Like, I got to tell you how I really feel about you. And I did. And the lady kind of looked at me, and her husband looked at me and was like, you need to watch what you're saying. I said, I looked right at him and I said, that's how you feel and have felt for years. You just won't say it. And he looked at me and he shut up.
I think I learned how to like in-laws, like my father. When my grandparents, even after my mom and dad got divorced, my father would do anything to help my mom's parents.
Yeah.
You know, uh, and he'll tell you, if my dad was here right now, he'll tell you like one of his biggest father figures was um, my mom's dad, who died in 1972. I never met him. I mean,
yeah,
I never met the man, but he'll tell you like he was a great man,
right?
And, so when I first started when I got engaged, he was telling me how to, what to do with the in-laws. Like, you need something. If they need something, you go get it. If they need something. And, these people got money and they don't need anything. They don't need anything. My mother-in-law will cut her own grass.
Yeah.
It's just like, ain't nothing you can do to help these people. And so for me, it was such a tough, because she had 2 kids, and in my hindsight, I don't think they ever caught on is I'm the first real man my wife ever had. Far enough. I mean, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. Right. I'm the first real man that she's ever had a relationship with, to a long distance, not long distance, but this type of relationship.
Yeah.
Her ex-husband got, not in the picture.
Yeah.
Jordan's father, not in the picture. So for me to come in, become have to, step in the shoes as a father to 2 kids that don't have a father.
Yep.
That's a big freaking role, and it scared the hell out of me. And I was the biggest thing, and I feel in some ways I did fail, but the biggest thing for me was the fear of failing.
Yeah.
And you would think that you have like parents, like you see that your daughter came home with a man now, like a real man with a real job. He would lay his life down for your daughter. Yeah. He would lay his life down for your grandkids. You would think that they would be in celebration of this magical moment, but no, they wasn't. Now, my father-in-law, just like you, it took him a little time because, he didn't know all the details.
Right.
My wife is a little intimidated of my father. She's a daddy's girl, but she's intimidated. Yeah. So she didn't really. I remember the first time I met him, and he was giving me the whole, I'll shoot you, I'll kill you. Yeah. You hurt this, you hurt that. And then later on, it was explained to me that he didn't even know we were dating. So, and then I put myself in his shoes and like, how would you feel? What would you
do? Yeah.
My daughter, if your daughter just comes out, I'm engaged, daddy. And who? What the? I didn't know you was dating. And so I understood it then. I understood it. It took me a little time to understand it because it wasn't something that was told by me.
Right.
So it was one of those situations where it was like, I can't believe that these people are treating me like this. Like, why are you treating? Like, I'm doing something I felt that was noble. I had selfish reasons to marry your daughter. It wasn't like I wanted to become a father to 2 kids.
Yeah, that wasn't the first goal of the situation, right?
No.
Yeah, I didn't come in and see her across the room at a place and then say, "Hey, you got 2 kids I can father?" No, that never happened.
Yeah. But after 12 years of being 2009, 12 years together, 11 years. This will be our 11-year anniversary, marriage, being married. My father-in-law has been the one that has I like to think that he sees that, his daughter has a real man. And,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. See, a lot of my family's passed away. Like I literally, most of my mom's side of the family has all passed away from cancer or some other reason, health reasons. And then a lot of my dad's side, almost all of my dad's side's already gone. So I literally have my mom's still alive. She's out in California, just crazier than hell somewhere. And then the only family I really have is my wife and her mom and dad. And from the time we met 6 years ago, they took me in like I was their own. I mean, literally, to me, it was a shock. It was like, holy crap, you're taking this crazy mess of baggage that your daughter's dating, and you're accepting me. And they did. And like, her dad from day one was cool with me. Her mother was from day one. Her mom was immediately warm and welcome, and open arm hug. Like, wait, you just met me. Like, you sure you want to touch me? I mean, I don't know. She just very receptive. I mean, they're a Christian family. They're real good people, but they are really, I mean, in this world, they are my family. That's it. When I think about like all the family, I have sisters, I got brothers out there, but we're not close. Half of us don't talk anymore. And the ones that do talk, it's not a very long conversation before we just have to hang up. But it's like, for me, my real family is my in-laws, and I don't even consider them in-laws. Like, I call her mom and I call him dad, like, because they treat me just like I'm one of their own kids. Which is very rare. It's very rare. I've never been in a relationship where I've had that.
And that's what scares me, because, we talk about family dying off. My mother died in 2019. That was the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then, uncles are starting to pass away. Aunts are starting to pass away. And, I'm seeing it to like, man, I'm not going to have no family left. And the only family I got would be these guys. I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Like,
right.
like it's something, like,
that's why they had that life insurance policy made. I get it.
Just that when we have family get-togethers, I wish my wife would want to spend time more with my father-in-law's family.
Right.
Like, I don't understand why we can't do my father-in-law's family
more with that side.
Yes, I just don't understand.
Why does it always have to be with these dysfunctional people?
Yeah, because I'm not going. Because it's straight up. It's straight up. I'm not going. I let them know why. And you can have your last word. You can do whatever you want. I let it be known. Right.
I just not coming.
And I only have a little bit of like. It's just.
Well, I mean, life's short. Life is short, and why I say this all the time to my wife, like, why, because sometimes we'll have friends and stuff. She's like, I miss some of my friends I used to hang out with that don't come around anymore. And I'm like, why don't they come around anymore? And there's always a story behind it. But I always tell her, I say, life is too short for me to want to go force myself to be around people that don't want me around.
I'm not going to be around people that don't want me. Yeah, I'm not going to be around people that disrespect me.
Yeah.
If you disrespect me and you treat me like
why would I want to be there? Around you. Yeah. I mean, I got other places to go, people to hang out with. I can go hang out with a guy at a convenience store that's running the register, and he's going to treat me with more respect,
Like, we had a fight. It wasn't much of a fight. It was just like, I just told my wife, like, straight up, I'm not going. Creed 2 came out in movie theaters on Thanksgiving. And my wife wanted to go for hiking. And so we went hiking, and then we came back from hiking. Well, we're all going. She looked at me and she was like, we're all going to my mom's house. And I looked at her like, y'all have fun. Yeah. She was like, no, we're all going. I said,
you took me hiking to wear me out. Going. It ain't working.
not only that, I wanted to go see Creed 2.
Right.
I was like, Drago's back. I want to go see this damn thing. This is more important. But no, I refuse to go to my mother-in-law's family's crap, and I don't. That has nothing to do with my wife's stepfather's family, who are like the most nicest people in the world.
Yeah, caring
people. And I hate the fact that my wife's stepfather's brother-in-law is going through some things, because you ever notice there's some people in this world that do not deserve bad things happening to them? But
I know a lot of
I look at myself. Yeah, I look at myself and like, I can't believe I'm still on this earth and all this crazy stuff, bad stuff. I've done some bad things. I don't dread on them, but I wouldn't consider myself a great human being. But then you look down the hall and you see like my stepfather, my wife's stepfather's brother-in-law, and you see how great of a man he is, and then he gets sick. Right. And I don't understand how the world works. Two Body Podcast.
That's a big
What
topic.
do we got coming up on the Two Body Podcast? Oh, first question. That's just like I asked the other young lady with her podcast. Top 10, the top 3 guests. Where do I rank? In 1, 2, or 3? Because I'm in the top 3.
Top 3?
Yes. Listen,
I think
I understand I may not be number one.
I'm giving you a 2. I'm giving you a 2 right now. I'm just being straight up. You got a 2 right now. I've had a couple good guests, not a lot. I mean, I've had a few. I love my guests, and I've had quite a few great guests on. I honestly think
who's number one? No. Who's number one?
That's it. But see, that's a tough one too, because that is a tough one.
If you can't say it, just say that I'm number one. Cause it's like what I told.
Yeah,
the other lady. Like, look.
I mean,
look,
right.
you didn't have me on the Zoom call for 4 hours and say that well, you like in the top 10. No,
right.
I'm the top.
I'm gonna look at some show notes real quick, but there's a couple people. You're a solid 2, man, and 2's not a bad number. I mean, we're on the second season, 62 episodes into the second season. I don't even think seasons are supposed to have that many. But we're like, I mean, you're like number 2 in that many people. That's pretty damn good. And hey,
if you're not first, you're last.
But hey, sometimes everybody gets a participation trophy these days, though, right?
Yeah, I guess that could have been it. Yeah, you're in the top 62.
No, seriously,
Yeah,
I've had a few, and to be honest with you, it really depends on. I mean, if I were to categorize my guests, I'd have to categorize them by topics, and really it boils down to, like, as far as you would be number 1 for your category, because the discussions that you and I are having are just open dialogue, and we're able to touch on family, we're able to touch on different things that probably with most of my guests I don't get too much into. A lot of my guests come on, they're promoting a book, they're actors, they're actresses, they're promoting whatever it may be themselves. For you and I mean, we're having open dialogue. I mean, this is something that I like to call this podcast perfection. I mean, I'm just going to be real about it. When 2 people can have a conversation and be themselves and be vulnerable to open up and discuss things that you and I discussed on my show and things that we're going to discuss on your show, I think that puts you in a category all your own.
Or just don't get.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, because I said, I'd have to take all my other guests. I mean, I have guests that are entrepreneurs. I have guests that are teachers. I have guests that are writers. So each one of those deserve their own category. And I think for you and I, this open dialogue, being able to be real with the world, be real with ourselves, be able to talk about things that most people on a podcast are not probably going to. On my show, I say it's unfiltered for a reason, because I will talk about anything. I don't care what it is. It will be talked about on our show if it needs to be talked about. And I think that's what puts you and I having a discussion in a separate category, is because you're one of my guests that I enjoy having, and I'm being a guest on your show now, and I get to enjoy the opportunity of still having the same dialogue we had before.
So basically you're saying I'm in the top 62. Okay.
You got at least 62. 62 for sure.
Yeah, I got at least 62.
No, you got,
I'm in the number 2. I got you. I'm number 2.
I think if we were to do an overall category, if we're just to say overall guest, we're giving you a number 2, which I still think is a solid hit. But yeah,
that's a solid.
Overall, you're number 1 in your own category.
Yeah, and that's better than like the young lady that I did her podcast and
did she throw you in number 3?
To. She said I was in her top 10. I said I've been on the phone with you for 6 hours and I'm in the top 10.
You're like, what? Car salesman or something?
Yeah, you kept me on your show. I was on her show talking about relationships and sex, something that that's not my forte. Right. And we became, we're friends. I mean, she's somebody that I talk to. I get advice from.
Yeah.
You're somebody that I'm going to start getting advice from. I'm going to text you. You're probably going to block my number pretty soon, because I'm going to start getting like a bunch of, because I mean, you're a professional. I don't consider myself a professional at this.
I don't even consider myself a professional. I just,
But you're better at it than I am.
I think some days I'm a professional and some days I'm not.
Being on the Two Party Podcast was the most enjoyable thing. And so with that said, what do we have coming up with the Two Party Podcast?
We've got a lot coming up. This year, here's where we're at right now. Is this year we're starting to change our dynamic a little bit. And so we've opened up our schedule, and we're booking up like ridiculously. Like every time I think I send a link out, and we've got like, I put out like 2 months worth of open space, and we usually do our interviews on Thursday, Fridays. And I usually only do usually two a day. When I started this, I was doing, no joke, Monday through Friday, 5 interviews a day back to back. Okay. So I was sitting in the studio from 9 a.m. till whenever I got done. And I'd talk to one person for 2 hours, next person maybe 45 minutes. So, I mean, I was doing this nonstop when we started this show. And I mean, I spent so much time in the studio, my wife didn't even see me Monday through Friday. And so I literally said, that ain't going to work. I got to balance this out, or she's just going to divorce or shoot me, either one or both. And so I was like, let's change it over. We'll just do 2 days a week, two interviews a day, 2 days a week. That's 4 interviews a week. And that's a healthy go for me. And so I was like, okay, we'll do that. But now we're at a point where like even those slots are filling up so fast that I have to then extend a new link, and that new link I'll give out 2 more months worth, and that'll be booked right up. What we're trying to do now is focus on, we're targeting, we get a lot of entrepreneurs, we get a lot of people in marketing, sales, people that are public speakers and stuff like that. We've had a lot of that in the past season and a half. What I'm pushing for this year is reaching out to some actors and actresses, musicians from all levels, comedians. I'm one of those people like you. I have a sense of humor and I love to laugh. I love music, but I love to laugh. And so I love comedians, and I'm trying to pull together. We've got on schedule for a bunch of comedians upcoming. So I'm shooting and really pushing for those to get those going, because not just for me, I like to laugh, but I want my audience to be able to laugh. There's a lot of people going after this pandemic crap going on, that there's a lot of depression, a lot of suicide, high rates. I want people to start getting some content and audience to be able to hear some funny stuff. We need more funny in our lives. So that's part of what I'm targeting right now. The other thing we discussed doing, and I think you and I even touched on this, is what we're trying to do on the show now is get probably every other week or once a month doing a regular skit. So we're trying to find a target show or a target person who we can get on the show, who our audience will recognize, like clockwork. Let's say every 2 weeks we have so-and-so comes on and he gives a informational, whatever it may be, or a tutorial, or gives a business advice or something to that effect. So we're thinking about every 2 weeks doing that, setting up a regular constant schedule for having somebody on the show. So Two Party Podcast presents XYB, and that's who they'll be. And then, the other thing we're trying to do is we're going to start pushing into some live, a lot more live feed for musicians. And that's something that just, again, I enjoy comedy. That's why I'm trying to bring the audience comedy. I also enjoy music, so I'm trying to bring music to the audience. And one thing about music we all know is music unites. And so I think if we could start pushing, right now the music industry is hurting. Right now the music industry, as much as these people, you could put them on the level of celebrities, but musicians are hurting too. If you've ever been a musician, like you get paid $300 to go to a stupid dive bar that's the size of your bedroom, and you may make $300 for that gig, and then you got to split it between 5 guys, and then also your time and whatever you eat and drink at the bar. So it's like these guys don't make a lot of money. And even the top musicians don't make a whole lot. I mean, yeah, they make money after a while, but they don't make a whole lot of money. So my goal is to reach out to the music industry and try to get a lot of the music industry to start doing some live shows and offer some of the live shows through Two Party Podcast. That's one of the goals I have. That's something I think would be really cool, because, again, I think music unites. And I think music brings a message to people that our nation needs to heal. But it also brings just to the audience that mental health awareness that we use the platform for. And so that's 2 or 3 of the things that I know for sure we're working on. The number 4, I think, is honestly this year I'm focusing on a higher caliber of guests. And by that, I don't mean to demean any of my other guests, but I mean, like, we're trying to reach for the stars. And I think me and you talked about that on our show is, in order to really get sponsorship and you got to get your numbers up, your clicks per minute, and all these things need to go up.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get that, you have to bring content that people want to hear. Joe Rogan didn't become Joe Rogan overnight. He had the company and the team to put together the right guests. And that's where I want to be. That's where you want to be. That's kind of a target for this year, is kind of like, we want to be. It's not that I want to be the number 1 podcast show. I don't. That's not my goal. My goal really is to bring the best guests to my audience And at the same time, my real goal for this show is the passion I have for it, which is offering a platform for mental health awareness. And also it helps me when I'm helping other people and helping guests promote themselves. It makes me, not we discussed earlier, it makes me less of a and more of a better person that I'm trying to achieve and trying to be. And that's kind of my goal for this year, is just to continue down that path.
Well, I want to tell you straight up, you ain't I mean, you're, like I said, I look forward to the conversations that we have. You're somebody, as of right now, I consider you somebody like a friend. If anything that you need from me and I can do it, I may not be driving up to Oklahoma.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. It's cold up here. It sucks.
Yeah, but if it's something you need from me, consider it done. If I can do it, consider it done. Anybody that knows that, and if I can say you're a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something I can do, it's yours. If it can't do it, and I say no to it, it's because it's not that I don't want to do it. It's because I can't do it. And sometimes I'll do things for friends that I don't want to do, but because you're my friend, I'll just say, hey.
Yeah, and that goes both ways. It's like I told you, that goes both ways. We tell every guest that comes on our show, we tell them, this is just what we like the first episode to always be is an introduction. And that's you've already been on our show. Our audience knows you now. And so in the next, when we bring people back, we always invite them back for other promotions or other things that go on in their lives. Things change, our lives change. And I want my guests to always have that open platform to say, hey, Dean, man, I got something going on in my life. I want to talk about it. And I want them to be able to book and schedule with me and get right back on the show and us discuss the things that have changed in that guest's life, because the guest becomes family to the audience. And once the guest becomes family to the audience, they're family, obviously, to the show. And we want to always give updates. I don't want to just bring someone on the show, they tell their story, and then the audience never even knows what happened to that poor person.
Yeah.
Unless I don't like them. I mean, if I don't like them, then we could just get them off,
Yeah. And, we got 3 other guys on the CTS, Stingray himself. Yeah. Stingray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stingray, he's his own personal brand.
Yeah.
Like right now he's working, he's got probably one of his views for his Facebook show is incredible.
Yeah.
And I tell him all the time, bring those views to the CTS.
Right.
But I, as a business person, I do understand that, his brand is separate from us.
It has to stand out between the two. There has to be a dividing line. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I will never cross the line and say, hey, I would never cross the line and say, bring the Stingray show to here.
Right.
I'll say, hey, man, do your own thing here, but then do your own thing there.
Yeah.
The same thing with Marvin. Marvin has, right now he has a clothing line. He has his own book. What I try to do with the CTS, like with 40 Plus Strong doesn't bring $1 to CTS.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean we don't talk about it, because he's part of the CTS. We want to make sure he's successful.
Yeah. Because
if he's successful, that's good for the family member.
Exactly.
Not the family member. So it's one of those situations where I'm like, hey man, anytime you gotta plug something, you plug it here. You don't have, this is your company.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Put money into it? Is your company. So I'm always like that. I like 40 Plus Strong and the Stingray show, and with Raphael, he's got so many businesses. Like, this is opportunity for all 4.
We each have to make money. I mean, that's just being an adult. That's not just being a professional and a business owner. That's being an adult. You got to make money, and each person needs to make their own money. That doesn't mean, the person can't have 2 jobs or 3 jobs or 4 jobs, and those jobs don't have to coincide. But at the end of the day, each person needs to make money from each job, and so you and your brand needs to make its money. Stingray and his needs to make money. I mean, it all needs to do its own thing, because they're each separate brands.
Yeah. And then
but there's nothing wrong with collaborating and making podcast perfection.
Yeah. When we come together, we leave, it's kind of like a band, like when David Lee
they're never good alone.
Yeah. No, because the Stingray show actually is a very good show.
Well, I was going to say
I
was going to say in general, like a band, you always hear like the Beatles, and they break off and they do their solo albums, and it sucks.
Right.
but they're better. All their fans really like them when they're together.
Yeah. My point is simple. It's like, everybody has their own thing. And I say, just bring it here, but, let it know this is a platform for you to promote you,
Yeah.
the Marvin Constant. But if we come on and we go on a podcast at that particular moment, we're CTS.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not the Stingray show. You're not Raphael, the actor. You're not the Marvin. You're not 40 plus strong. We're CTS.
Yeah.
For that particular moment, we're CTS.
Right.
Yeah, that's how good we are as a group. Like, we know, we're CTS. Hell, everybody's got other doing. But now that we know about the Two Party Podcast, we got to hit the main event. I've been waiting for this. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the movie Blow. You've seen Cocaine Cowboys. And we talked a little bit about this. I said, nah, save it for this show. Save it.